Bună seara, doamnelor și domnilor, vă spune Ruxandra Săraru, care vă invită la o ediție specială a emisiunii Oameni care mișcă România. Un om care a mișcat România în cei 3 ani, aproape 4 de când se află pe teritoriul țării noastre, ca ambasador extraordinar și plenipotențiar al Suediei în România, este doamna Therese Hydén. Această doamnă minunată a mai fost invitată la Radio România Actualități și a vorbit minunat în limba română, dar astăzi eu o să o provoc să vorbim în limba engleză și este invitata mea specială la această emisiune. Good evening and welcome again to Radio România Actualități, Your Excellency. When you come in Romania, first of all, back in 2019, if I'm right,
Correct.
was our country completely unknown to you?
Not entirely unknown. As a diplomat, of course, and as a fellow EU country, I know about Romania. But it was first time actually working directly with Romania and in Romania. I worked with many neighboring countries in Eastern Europe, also many of the neighbors to Romania, but it was first time actually working directly in
Romania.
Mm-hmm.
As compared to the image of you already had in your mind about Romania, how did the country amaze you during the first contacts you had with the country and its leaders?
What can I say, Doamna Sărar? I was pleasantly surprised and happy, and I continue to be surprised by discovering new things in Romania. First of all, the people, the generosity of the people, being very open and welcoming to me, to my family as newcomers in Romania, also in contacts with the Romanian authorities and all parts of the Romanian society. Very accessible, very open people, very interested in my country, and the people on the one side, and then the natural beauty of Romania on the other side. Is a really beautiful nature here that I don't think people outside of Romania know well enough.
What specific progress has Romania made since 2019 from your point of view?
Well, since 2019, we had 2 terrible things happening in Europe. First, the pandemic. Second, the war in Ukraine. So what I can see that Romania did really well during these extraordinary circumstances is, first of all, organizing very quickly the vaccine campaigns, organizing access for the people to have vaccinations much earlier than in Sweden, for instance. That was very smooth. Secondly, with the war in Ukraine, the way the Romanian people immediately after the 24th of February opened their homes, came to the border, took care of the people, mainly women and children coming across the border, and also the authorities setting up very quickly emergency facilities close to the border. And then, since then, it's almost 1 year that the war continues. Romanians and Romanian authorities continue to help Ukrainians and Ukraine, and I think that's extraordinary.
As is well known, on January 1st, 2023, your country took over the rotating presidency of the Council of the EU. What are the Sweden's priority during the 6-month tenure?
We already mentioned the war, the situation in Ukraine. That is continuing on 24th of February. It will be 1 year of the war. So what is happening in Ukraine and the actions to stop that war will continue. So Ukraine is a huge priority, and it's a necessity for the EU to continue to support politically, with humanitarian support, with the reconstruction, and also with military support. So that's ongoing. But we have 3 buzzwords that we use to describe the presidency. So we want to say it should be greener, safer, and freer. And by that we mean the Ukraine. We mean unity for Ukraine, to continue with that, to keep Europe safe. And to keep our values safe. That's one thing. With the green, we mean that we need to continue work with the green transition. We need to go to have an EU that is fossil-free. We continue with lots of EU legislation in that, and is a strong priority and interest for Sweden and for all of EU. We also look at the energy transition. After the war we continue to have energy crisis. So these two things go together. The energy crisis can help us move more quickly into green energy, green fields of energy, instead of fossil-free like gas, like oil. And petrol, for instance. We hope for nuclear energy, but also for the forests, which is something we share with Romania, also has a lot of forests. Third priority is competitiveness. That's about growing the economy of the EU, is very important. And the fourth priority is about our values, that we should maintain our democratic values. Independence of the judiciaries, strong institutions is really the foundation for our countries, and this is also what Ukraine is fighting for, to be an independent country with its own independent institutions. So this is, in a nutshell, what the Swedish presidency will work with. But we have to be ready for any emergencies that happen. That is also our job. And of course, to listen to all member states, to listen to all countries that are members of EU, so that we can together make the right decisions for the EU.
You mentioned the term together. We, the Romanians, are most interested in finding out in what ways and to what extent can Sweden help step up Romanian Schengen accession.
Yeah. Hugely
I
important
ask
question.
you this because during the Swedish presidency in 2009,
Yes.
to the Council of the European Union, you were the chairperson for the Foreign Relations Councilors Working Group.
Yes, thank you. I was. It was a great experience to be in Brussels during the latest Swedish presidency. Now I'm here. Feels very important to be in Romania in this particular time, because being so...
In this particular position for Romania.
For Romania. But to be here because it's of course for us as diplomats professionally, we want to do a good job where it is needed to be, and right now Romania is in the center of a lot of the geopolitical activities that are happening. Schengen is also something that is high on the Swedish presidency agenda. It is something we took over from the Czech Republic. I want to recall that Sweden voted in favor of Romania's Schengen accession in December last year. And now we are in the presidency seat, continuing the discussions on how to solve this issue. So now it's been 1 month of the presidency, and already there has been a lot of bilateral meetings and consultations in Brussels, but also in Stockholm. There was a meeting last week in Stockholm with all the ministers of justice, ministers of interior of all the EU countries. And the Swedish ministers had good meetings with the Romanian ministers, but also with Austria, with Netherlands, with a lot of ministers. And this is one way, of course, to continue to work with this issue, to have these negotiations. The solution will be discussed in many different ways, and the Swedish presidency will work actively on this for the whole period, for whatever time it takes to move this forward. And we will see when we can see some results.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for believing in us.
Yes,
we need that.
We believe in you.
Thank you.
Your country, as you say, has championed green transition in all sectors of the economy. In what ways and how much could Sweden help our country in its effort to speed up green transition? It's a need for us.
Yeah. Well, for all of us, really.
For us, for all of us, for all the people of the world.
Exactly, because the climate change is happening now. We can see it. We see it now because now we have a little bit of winter, but it took a long time even before the winter came, and it's been too warm, too much rain, too droughts, everything.
Is up and down.
Yeah, so we can now see it with our eyes, we can feel it. Something is not good with the climate. So we see the effects of it, so we need to make this transition faster. And what we do on behalf of the embassy, because we want to share the good experiences that we have, some best practices on how we try to deal with the climate change and the climate green transition in Sweden. It can be about legislation, it can be about training that we can offer to Romanian civil servants or in discussions with the Romanian authorities. That's one thing. We also have a number of Swedish companies that have been in Romania working for many, many years. And I have to say, all Swedish companies are now sustainable. They have sustainable business models. So when they do their business, they want to do it in a clean and sustainable way. Also, they can offer solutions that can help in Romania.
Yes.
Such as, for instance, Volvo trucks, Volvo cars, Scania, they can provide electrical vehicles. We have a company called ABB, they provide the electrical chargers. They can also provide a number of different types of machines that can help with energy efficiency. Ericsson, which is a telecom company, they also help
with a long history here in Romania,
and a great number of employees. Ericsson is actually the second largest presence in Romania outside the headquarters in Sweden, but in Europe, in Bucharest, the biggest office in Europe. So they can help with connectivity and make things smarter, faster, not so to waste too much energy. So those are just a few examples of companies that offer sustainable solutions that are available today in Romania.
How much interest do Swedish investors take in Romania? What can be done for them to become even more interested?
Yeah, yes, that is a good. That's what I hope also. Well, like I said, we already have a really good basis. We have several hundred Swedish companies here. Like you also mentioned, Anna Sorara, they're here since a long time. Some of them are expanding now. There will, for instance, be a third IKEA store opening outside in Timișoara soon this year. That's one example. We have other examples of big factories, construction. For instance, we have a Swedish company called Autoliv. They actually make the seat belts and the crash cushions for almost all brands of cars. They are expanding their operations here in Romania in different locations. We have Oriflame, we have Electrolux. Many of the companies are going. It's going well for them here in Romania. What all investors need, not just Swedish ones in Romania, but I think all investors, they look for a stable and predictable
market. And legislation.
And legislation that is interpreted in the same way, so that they know today that if you make an investment in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, they know what will happen. And that's also when we know it's important to have the functional judicial system and functional interpretation so that people know that they can be safe with their investment. That is what all investors want, I guess, everywhere in the world.
Do you have a piece of advice for the Romanian entrepreneurs willing to enter in the Swedish market?
They would be very welcome to come to Sweden. I would advise them to contact Business Sweden, which is our business and investment organization. They can also, this Business Sweden, they also have regional offices in Sweden. So if an investor is interested in a particular area of Sweden, they could go directly there. And then, of course, we're here as the embassy. Of course, if there are requests and interests, we can always help out with that as well.
Thank you. As regards the Swedish presidency of the EU and its objective that you said before, during 6 months, how can Romania be useful to your country through cooperation and partnership?
We need a strong Romanian voice in Brussels, in the EU. Romania has a very clear and strong position in supporting Ukraine and against Russia at this particular time. It will be very important, it is very important to have that support from Romania continuously. Also, Romania is very clear on the support for the Republic of Moldova, for other neighboring countries, for Western Balkans and the Black Sea region. And there, Romania has special expertise and good knowledge, so it is important that we hear from Romania and get the support from Romania in this field, not least. And then the green transition, of course, there. Yeah.
Yes, green transition.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for your presence, but in the end, please convey a message to our Romanian listener. We are in the top of the audience, and your message will be very important for Romanian listeners.
Yes, thank you. I would like then to thank all Romanians really for being such good neighbors to Ukraine, for all the help that they have been giving to Ukrainians, to families, mothers and children that have come across the border. I've seen it with my own eyes that so many are there to help, and that it can continue for as long as it's needed. That's one message. And then I want to say that I believe for Schengen, it is only a matter of time before Romania will be in Schengen. And again, that we as the Swedish presidency will do what we can to make that happen sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you. And you will be welcome any time you want, and you need to say something to Romanian listener on Radio Romania News and Current Affairs.
Mulțumesc mult! Mulțumesc mult, doamna Rosolar!
Doamnelor și domnilor, aici se încheie ediția din această seară a emisiunii Oameni care mișcă România. A fost doamna ambasador Therese Hydén, un om care se încăpățânează să creadă că România trebuie și poate să meargă mai departe.